On the Fan.
Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
KFXX, KWJJ, HD2, Portland. An Odyssey Sports Station. Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the NBA playoffs are continuing today. A couple of game twos, one in each conference. Starting in the East, Knicks, they're hosting the Pistons at Madison Square Garden. New York is looking to go up 2-0 in that series. They're coming off a come-from-behind victory in Game 1. Knicks are favored by 6.5. Total is set at 220.5. Tip-off at 4:30. Then at 7, you got the Nuggets hosting the Clippers in Game 2 of their series. Despite being at home and being up 1-0 in the series, Denver's not going to be favored in this one. Clips favored by 1.5. Total is set at 218.5. The NBA announced their finalists for their regular season awards. Nikola Jokic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander headlined the announcement. They're the two main finalists for the MVP award. Former Oregon Duck Peyton Pritchard, he is a finalist for the Sixth Man of the Year trophy. The Celtics guard will be up against the Cavs' Ty Jerome and the Pistons' Malik Beasley for the award. Over in college basketball, Duke star freshman Cooper Flagg announced today that he's going to be entering the NBA draft this summer. Flagg is expected to be the number 1 overall pick. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland Sports.
Good afternoon! Oh, listen to that. We got some NFL Films music, huh? Football's back already.
No, it's not.
Let's go. Dude,
It's not.
I don't know if you just heard that open.
I don't care.
I don't know if you heard that open,
I
but
heard
it's NFL
nothing.
Draft Week.
I heard-
Let's go.
I heard Charlie Brown. Womp, 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 womp,
What?
womp, womp.
This is a great time of the year.
It is.
It is.
Not the best time of the year, but it's a good time of the year.
No, it's number 2. I think October.
October is the best month. Hands
October
down.
is an awesome elite sports month for us,
Mhm.
just because you have
Everything.
football in full swing, Major League Baseball postseason, and then you have the NBA is starting up. You have hockey starting. Like all of the sports are going all at once. This is great because you have NBA playoffs. You have the Stanley Cup playoffs. Look, hockey it's been a long time since hockey's played. Since that cup that they played where United States lost to Canada,
Mhm.
you know, their all-star game.
Yeah.
They're back to playing hockey again.
Yeah, no,
it's crazy.
It's back again.
Yeah, yeah. And it's fun.
Playoff hockey. Look, there's probably no sport that elevates itself more
Mm.
than playoff hockey.
Yeah, dude. It's sweet.
You just like, I'm not really a hockey fan. Then you stumble into playoff hockey and you just kind of like find yourself sinking further and further into the couch. You're like, this is fun.
Yeah. And then we have baseball where the Mariners are doing their thing where their fans get all excited about this going to be the year. They are winning 54% of their games this year so far, which is by design.
8-2 in the last 10. Be nice now. Top 10 on power rankings.
Dude, not just, but
Fear the dumper.
hold on. Unlike every other team in the division, and unlike most Mariners teams, they have a positive run differential. They have a positive run differential.
Fear the dumper.
Look at this. Look at this. They've scored more runs than I think any other team in the AL West. Hey, how about that? How about that?
That's nothing to say of the AL West.
No, easy.
Don't look behind the curtain for Oz. We're doing great over
Look, the
here.
only
You
division
mean-
that might be worse than the AL West is the NL Central.
You mean the only division in baseball that has every team with double-digit wins right now?
Mm.
That division?
Mm.
The only one in all of baseball?
AL West unite.
Let's check back in a month.
4 straight series wins for the M's. George Kirby's coming back
Mhm.
eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah, no one really says when he's coming
All right,
back.
but this is a great time of the year, though, because you have all these things, and then you have the NFL draft, and football's like, we back, baby. Spring ball and college football is like a little palate tease for everybody out there. It's fun. I like this. This is a great time of year.
It is.
This weekend was great, too. Everybody have a good Easter? Everybody that celebrated? Good
Oh, yeah.
Easter? Good Easter for everyone?
Did all the family things Saturday and Sunday to split it between the families and
Yeah.
I was gonna go see Warfare this weekend, but that got nipped in the bud. Was bummed about that. Everybody I've talked to has said it's absolutely awesome.
Now, is that a movie that you would, and that is a warfare movie?
Mhm.
Pretty apt title for what it's about.
Yeah.
It's about dudes in war.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a retelling from memory from Iraq in 2006. I don't think it's the Fallujah run up because that would have been 2005. That was a lot. But from what I've seen and from what I've heard, it's basically nonstop. And there's apparently a part of the movie when support is 10 minutes out that it goes real time. So from the time that they're like, hey, we're 10 minutes out, it goes real time 10 minutes to just drive home.
What it's
Kind
like,
of what
the stress.
10 minutes feels like in that
Yeah,
kind of environment.
that's
Like
crazy.
10 mics is a lot.
So, is that a movie you go to by yourself?
I'm gonna end up going by myself. My wife is she tapped out.
Yeah, I don't know. Like my wife would just be like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, so I'm gonna go by myself this week.
Okay, I have a feeling that that's going to be a lot of dudes just by themselves in the theater, just kind of scattered about,
Yeah.
scattered
Proper
about the
man
theater.
spacing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you'll just kind of give each other a nod, and all right, yep, we know what we're here for. I don't feel like that's a group movie that you go to. Like it's not a movie that you're like you and the boys. We're gonna go to the movie.
I don't know. I think that could be a movie you go see with the boys.
Do you ask the boys to go see a movie with you? I don't know that I've ever asked the boys to go see a movie.
really?
Yeah,
Oh,
dude.
dude.
I've gone to a movie with the boys.
Yeah.
Like a boy, like it might be like, hey, me and you, like we like this actor, we like this type of movie. Me and you are gonna go, but I've never been like texting the group chat, boys. Let's go to the movies.
I remember Transformers, the very first one came out. I was home on leave. Bunch of us were at Sports Page in Beaverton.
All right. Yes.
And we were like, hey, it was, Bridgeport had just opened.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was a Thursday night. So it was the midnight screening. Like, let's all roll down to Transformers. We get down there and there's a line of probably 40, 50 people and they're all cosplaying.
Oh. Like dressed as Transformers.
Yeah,
huh?
one dude had like a cardboard box like cosplay that when he stood up it looked like Optimus Prime, and when he like got down on his knees and hands and knees like and leaned forward, it like turned into a semi truck. It was
Oh.
actually pretty impressive for being cardboard.
I mean, that is cool. It seems like it'd be very uncomfortable to wear to a movie.
yeah, it was certainly a thing, but no, there was probably about 10 of us.
Well, I'll be damned.
We rolled down to Transformers, and that was the first time I was ever at a movie theater where people like hooted and hollered, like lost their mind when because this is the very first Transformers.
when Megan Fox came out, they hooted and hollered.
No, it was Optimus Prime. We there was definitely some hootering though when Megan Fox came out.
Wow. That's the first Hootin' and Hollerin' movie I ever went to was me and three of the boys.
See,
We went to
I'm wrong.
opening night of Original Kings of Comedy at Lloyd Center.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
That changed the way I watch movies,
Yeah.
like forever.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great time.
Oh God,
Another boys' day to the
Him
movies
downstairs.
was we did Old School.
Oh,
I did
okay,
Old
yeah,
School.
yeah, yeah.
I think that was on a recruiting trip actually, because it was like negative 10 degrees.
I think we need to pull this.
And then we did in college Anchorman. Boys all did some day drinking, and then we went to Anchorman. That was a great time. I was crying, laughing. You go and you watch a good comedy with the boys.
Oh,
you're
yeah.
all you're gonna be rolling on the floor laughing. It's a great time.
Did that with Talladega Nights.
Yeah,
Talladega
see?
Nights was one we went and saw.
So
with the
Will
boys.
Ferrell movies.
Yeah.
We're just talking Will Ferrell movies. Yeah, that's okay though. I think it fits.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm almost certain that Transformers was the first like movie I was in where the entire theater lost their mind when Optimus Prime transformed the first time. Because I mean, it was
Yeah.
all what this is 2008, so what 15 years ago. So we were all 25, 26. That's what we grew up with, and it was the first time they'd ever done anything like it really like hit for our generation. I mean, we had like Ninja Turtles when we were a kid, but that was Jim Henson Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. PE teacher at McKinney Elementary in Hillsboro. He was, I think, Raphael.
No kidding.
I want to say that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't go to McKinney, so I can't like verify I talked to him. But that's what all the kids said.
I imagine that Ninja Turtle costume was not fun to wear.
Not at all.
Like that looked really heavy and awkward.
Not at all.
Like if
not
you
at
fell
all.
on your back, you would actually get stuck like a turtle.
Oh, here we go. We have the fan text line. I used to go on the annual boys trip. We would go to the movies together sometimes when there was something good enough out to see at the time. We saw Fury. Oh, wait.
Oh, yeah.
We saw Fury one year, and then we saw The Gentleman another time. Lots of good stuff to see with the boys. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, but
now we have 2008 Rambo and Myanmar with snuck in with 2 fifths. Wow,
Oh, wow.
It was wild. That is a wild night.
Avengers Endgame, I think they're talking about the hooting and hollering. Yeah.
That's a good one.
I mean, that was the whole freaking theater. Like every time I watch that movie, every single time I remember seeing it in theaters because everyone lost it.
Who? Oh God.
Was
it LaShawn McCoy that
Yes.
ruined Avengers?
Yes.
Says he spelled Tony Stark wrong.
Did he go full
People-
Tony Stank?
People were
Yeah.
muting every word they possibly could, and LaShawn McCoy misspelled Tony Stark's name and ruined the movie for people out there trying to hide all the spoilers.
Yeah.
God bless you,
That was like,
Shady.
what, a 13-year build-up for that?
He said,
Yeah.
R.I.P. my dog Tony, Toney, Stark, Stark.
Why? You know why nobody wants to see that, dog. Like, what?
That's exactly why he did it.
I know.
This is Sean McCoy, though. It's you want his Twitter feed because it's a stream of consciousness, right? He's just out there saying what he's feeling, and he felt he needed to throw out big RIPs for Tony Stark.
Pour one out for the homie.
Golly. All right. The Force Awakens when Han Solo and Chewbacca gets back on the Millennium Falcon. Was that a big hoot and hollering one? That one means nothing to me.
Oh yeah, no, that one definitely was.
That one was kind of a cheap one, though.
Yeah.
I feel like because it's a sequel to a sequel, but it's a sequel. People grew up watching it.
Yeah.
They're of course gonna cheer when those people come out.
Okay.
Like it's set up for cheering. It's like when they remake Happy Gilmore. If you go see Happy Gilmore in theaters, people are gonna cheer.
I feel like that's a spoiler for me. Spoiler alert, guys.
I think the timelines run out. Coyote Ugly is a group in Redding, California. Fun times. Shout out Piper Parabo.
I have no idea who that person is.
She's the smoking hot blonde.
Piper Parabo?
Mhm.
All right.
Perabo, I believe.
No, yeah, she comes up right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know who she is.
Shout outs to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
Jackass, I distinctly remember some guy in the back row threw up on some poor sap in the row ahead of him. Oh, my goodness. See, that's what you get, though. You go into a Jackass movie, you should probably expect that might happen to you.
Yeah, because there's going to be something that happens in there that is going to rattle a few people.
Wow. Yeah. Whoa. Boys Trip to the Movies Up. Yes, the Disney movie. 3 grown-ass men going to see it solo.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know if I'd do that in the theaters.
No.
That's a no.
No.
On up. Dude,
No.
that movie's sad.
Yeah.
The beginning of that movie
Mhm.
is undeniably
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. His wife dies. It's like, damn.
I don't know if you guys ever
Wanna
noticed
see that
this,
with the
but
boys?
like most Disney movies
Yeah.
are brutally sad in the opening act.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, their parents are dead.
It's the
Like,
Disney
whoa!
formula. There's actually it's called the Disney formula, where parents die. They're on a solo adventure to find themselves. Animals that talk.
Mhm.
They've gotten away from the part of the formula where a dude comes and saves. Strong man comes in to save. But then,
Have they?
yeah, they have, dude. Yeah, they have. They're getting away from that. It's a big thing in the Disney people's world.
Yeah.
I took a class called Understanding and Interpreting Disney Film.
Mm.
It was great. It was a great class. I mean, we just watched like Disney movies, and we had this old crusty professor who just sit there and yell at us about Disney
Nice.
and tell us all the things that were wrong with it and right with it. It was great. I love that. It was really hard though when you had to write a 10-page paper about a Disney movie. I didn't appreciate that.
Weren't a fan.
God, no.
10 pages isn't that much.
No, but I don't care enough to write 10 pages about it. There's a lot of people that did.
You didn't want to dissect the meaning of Moana.
No, that movie didn't exist then.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was like 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago.
You're kind of in the soft spot for Disney there.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that was the great part about the class was that we had.
you're watching the old bangers.
God, what was his name? I forgot his name. But he'd just get up there and he'd yell at us that Disney's lost its fastball.
I mean, he wasn't wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, and we ended up watching. He's like he found a, like a pirated version of Song of the South that we had to watch as a class.
That one's tough.
Boy.
Mm.
And he's like, this is not their fastball,
Mm-mm.
but this is where they were,
Mm-hmm.
and this is where they are now. And it was a different world then.
No, maybe it was their fastball, and that was part of the problem.
Yeah, they couldn't control that fastball.
Mm.
All right, that's talking movies. Movies with the bros. Will, go do it.
Yeah,
You should do it,
I
man.
go solo movies. I don't do bro movies.
Look, I'll tell you this: there's
No.
there's two paths that people need to venture down more: solo movie and movies with the bros.
Yeah.
Like that is a real thing. We need to bring back appointment viewing to the movies. Like Top Gun. Tom Cruise did a great job with that. With Maverick,
Yeah.
of like bringing people back to the movies. Like
See, that's a good one to go with the bros.
look,
too.
the new Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
That will be one to go with the boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't mean you can't go see like a rom-com.
Yeah.
Probably a little weird, but look, there's plenty of movies you can go. Warfare. Go see Warfare with the boys. Leave with just crippling depression and the reality of even just a speck of what it's like to be over there doing that.
I don't agree with that one.
No?
Mm-mm.
No?
I think
Okay.
movies with the boys, you need to find a good comedy, but that's the hard part. He may be out of this
Yeah,
because
just
he's so young
so
that
few
we haven't had
comedies.
any banger comedies come out in theaters.
there haven't been good comedies in a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I liked Ricky Stenicki, but that wasn't a theater comedy. I like going solo, dude. I started going solo last
Ricky
year.
Stenicki. Yeah, okay.
That's a funny one.
That's-
What'd you think I said?
no, I was just thinking of what movie that is,
Yeah,
and I was
it's
like,
funny.
oh,
It's
John
funny.
Cena.
There isn't a theater release.
Here's one. Here's the one that you need to go to.
I'm gonna go solo.
Nope. You're going to do this, and you're going to group chat with the boys.
Mm.
You are going to go out August 1, The Naked Gun.
Oh.
You are going to go. You should go to The Naked Gun with the boys. Have some bevies before. Have a great time.
Bro date.
Bro
Yeah.
date to The Naked Gun. It would be that's a movie that you go to with the boys.
But what if I haven't seen the first one?
You don't need to. Also,
It might help you.
Well,
It might help
there's
you.
no Leslie Nielsen, so.
No, and that's why it might help him.
Mm.
Then O.J. Simpson's in the OG, so
Yeah.
So maybe not the best acting.
I beg to differ, sir.
OJ
Oh,
actually,
you think OJ acts great in it?
he's actually not bad.
He was actually, he
Yes.
was a pretty good actor.
It's not bad.
That is true.
Yeah,
It did help him later.
you go to the boys to this one. You're going to see Liam Neeson, Pam Anderson, Cody Rhodes. Shout outs WrestleMania.
He lost.
Yeah, to Cena.
Spoiler.
He couldn't see him.
That's not a spoiler. Like the
happened
internet
yesterday.
got mad yesterday. And that's a live event. That's a live sporting event.
And they brought out Stone Cold.
I'm not yeah, and he crashed his
Almost ran that lady over.
Paul Walter Hauser's in it. Dude, this has got a great cast. Yeah, you're going to love this with the boys.
No, it'll be fun.
I'm excited for this.
I don't know that I'm going to see that with the boys.
No, you need to.
I'm going to go solo to Warfare or Sinners. You know what? Now that I think about it, I got asked to do a bro date to one of those. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
There was a guy who was trying to get the boys together yesterday.
Go see Sinners?
See,
he didn't care between Warfare or Sinners. He didn't care. He wanted to see one.
Both are getting just absolutely insane reviews.
I'm going to have to go see them both.
And this is the problem with you.
I don't like people.
You're playing a downer.
Yeah. I'm not a
to a
downer.
bro date at the movies.
No,
bro,
down.
I'm telling you, man, coming out of the movie, like in like reciting your favorite lines or being the guy who's like, that's the best movie I've ever seen, or oh my God, that was a steaming pile of crap, and then having the debates and arguments about what was the best, what was the worst. Like that's the stuff that was always fun.
Yeah.
Like that's because when you then those become the inside jokes for 20 years.
Yeah. And that was Anchorman with the boys. We went out to a party that night and we were all reciting Anchorman lines. Nobody else knew what we were talking
Randomly
about.
yelling Baxter.
Yeah, no, no. But like Brick guy leaves for a minute. He's like, yeah, Brick killed a guy with a trident. And people are like just looking around like, what? Who is Brick and what is a trident? And I'm like,
should probably lay low for a while.
You don't even know. Find a safe house. Yeah, that was this is what you can do with Naked Gun. And I feel like you're afraid to do it.
Yeah, that would require like asking things and
I'm gonna bring
going out.
No, I'm gonna force you to bring back quoting lines nonstop with the boys.
I quote lines nonstop with the boys. I just don't ask the boys on boy dates.
Dude,
I'm not doing that.
You're soft. You're soft. I thought 2025 we were supposed to be more open to going in bro dates and hanging out with the boys.
I love hanging out with the boys, but usually I like hanging out with the boys with some beers.
I mean, you can do that at the theater.
No, I can't talk.
Here's a text
I don't know. Can I do
on the fan text line, and I remember this a little bit. James Cameron wanted OJ to be the Terminator, but thought he was too nice. History tells a different story. All right. We had a lot of basketball. Let's get to the basketball, right? The
So
NBA
much
playoffs. Boy, game one, panic in the streets. It's only game one. But few teams should panic. Next on the fan. poll is up at Danny and Dusty. Do you do movies with the boys? Yes. No. Yes, but only one bro. Yes, but all the bros. Go and vote at Danny and Dusty on Twitter.
I did invite Will Ortner to go to Warfare with me, and he shot me down.
I didn't shoot you down. I just was like, maybe.
No, there wasn't a maybe in there.
We currently have about, what are we going to go with here? 57% say yes
Yeah, see?
in some form. All the bros or just yes, period. All right. So go ahead and go and vote on that. All right. We've got the NBA playoffs started on Saturday.
The good basketball is here.
Well, some of it.
Hmm.
I don't know if you watched a couple of those blowouts, but I don't think that Oklahoma City Memphis game was a good game by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, it was good for somebody.
Holy smoke. The Thunder beat the Grizzlies 131-80. By the way, that is the most points margin of highest margin of victory for a game one ever. And the Oklahoma City starters, with the exception of Jalen Williams, they all played under 25 minutes. And they won by 51 points. So it was the starters, and then they were like, bench, all right. SGA went 4 of 13, and they won by 51 points.
Yeah, he wasn't good. I mean, and to throw this the other way, Marvin Bagley III was the leading scorer for the Grizzlies.
Yeah. Yeah.
To give you an indication of how that game went.
I'll throw another one at you that was over when it started. Magic Celtics.
Yeah, that was a rock fight.
The Magic scored under 20 points in 3 of the 4 quarters.
Yeah. And the Celtics weren't great in that game either.
No, they just
pretty ugly.
stomped them out.
Yeah.
Miami Heat they look like they didn't want to win on Friday, but they did, and they wish they had a draft pick against the Cavaliers.
Yeah, I bet you the Grizzlies are probably looking at the same thing right now.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting if the Heat and the Grizzlies both get swept. What happens? Hell, if the Bucks get swept. We talked a little bit about this on Friday. There is going to be some fireworks if some teams get unceremoniously dumped out of the playoffs.
Boy almighty, it kind of looks like that may be the case for a couple of them. But also, I will say this. It's game 1 of a 7-game series. Yeah. And I know that a lot of people are dumping on the Lakers. Usually me, first to raise my hand, dump on the Lakers. Mm-hmm. JJ Redick treated that game like it was a game 1, and he got criticized by a lot of the Lakers fans, and even Magic Johnson, of he made no adjustments in that game. That's what happened. Like, it's game 1 is a feeling out process.
You don't throw the kitchen sink at game 1.
No, and especially when you have Luka Doncic and LeBron James.
And it was a very bad game for LeBron.
It was a bad game for LeBron, but I'm not going to sit there and overreact and say, "Yep, T-Wolves in 4," because I know when you have 2 players that damn good, that ain't going to be how the whole series plays out.
Especially when Jade McDaniels and Naz Reid go 19 of 25.
Look, there may be the issue that we all talked about. The Lakers' ceiling is with their bigs. Yeah, that could be a real factor. Don't think that game 1 was the glaring, beacon that everybody should be running towards. No. That they're going to lose this series and it's going to be in a sweep. Now, could be wrong. Hand up, could be wrong.
Sure.
But game 1s, never take too much out of them. But a few of them we can, and we talked about a lot of them. And with the one that you brought up, Milwaukee and Indiana, without Damian Lillard, that series ain't going to go Milwaukee's way.
No. Pascal Siakam was great. Hallie was good. All the role players for the Pacers were good. And outside of Giannis, nobody was really capable of showing up for the Bucks, and it showed up. Like, just period, point blank.
I think you can look at 3 of them.
Kyle Kuzma had one of the worst playoff games we've ever seen.
Yeah.
He did not register a stat.
I had as many points as Kyle Kuzma with 5 fewer shots. And I pulled in just as many rebounds as Kyle Kuzma did. And assists. What was that about? 0 for 5 from the field?
Did not record a rebound, a steal, an assist, a block. The only thing he did record were 2 fouls. He did not record a box score counting stat other than a foul.
Oh, got that playoff bonus though.
I think there's like 8 players in NBA history in the playoffs that have played more than 20 minutes in a game and did not register a stat.
And that is much harder to do in the playoffs, in my opinion, than it is in the regular season. Because in the regular season, there are just games where guys are like, yeah, whatever, going through the motions. This is the freaking playoffs. And your
Kuzma's a
team is
guy-
getting your lunch handed to you.
And Kuzma's a guy who, when he was with the Lakers in that title run, you can call it a Mickey Mouse title, whatever you want to do. Like, he was good.
Yeah.
He was effective. It appears the mind poison of the Washington Wizards basically ate him alive.
Yeah. Well, maybe. Or, just throwing this out there, Milwaukee fan protest. Nobody shows up to game 3. 1, you get the best out of Kyle Kuzma. 2, because nobody was in the building for his great playoff run. 2, sends a message that you need to get things right with Giannis.
There you go.
I mean, that's a double whammy right there you could get from Milwaukee.
Yeah, because Giannis had 36, 12, and 1, the 1 being the assist because nobody could hit a shot.
Yeah, they've got...
He had 15 total assists.
They got some issues, but also I look at that and I go, all right, will the Milwaukee Bucks go through another game in this series where you have 2 starters who do not score and no other starters in double figures? Because that's what happened. Giannis was the only starter to score in double figures for the Milwaukee Bucks in game 1 against Indiana.
I mean, they had to rely on Kevin Porter Jr.
I don't think that is going to happen again for Milwaukee.
Probably not.
So I'm not hitting that panic button. If I am Memphis, Orlando, or Miami, yeah, dude, it was a great season. Have fun.
Back it up.
Cancun on 3. 1, 2, 3. Cancun. Let's go. But there were some phenomenal games. In the series that we talked about on Friday is the one that lived up to the hype. Denver and the Clippers are going to be throwing haymakers. First as well with SportsCenter.
This is Draft Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
SportsCenter is brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, no game today for the Seattle Mariners after their series victory over the Blue Jays in Toronto. Mariners have won 4 straight series. They're going to be back in action taking on the Red Sox in Boston tomorrow. Red Sox already played their game today. They beat the White Sox 4-2. White Sox are 5-17 on the season. White Sox couldn't get it done even though Benintendi did end up having a home run in the top of the 8th. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new black 1080 The Fan hoodie, as well
The NBA playoffs were all over the place, man. We had blowouts mostly yesterday. We had one good game. That Warriors-Rockets series could be pretty fun to watch.
I think it's going to be a nasty, ugly, punch-you-in-the-mouth series.
And it is getting physical. Tom Haberstroh had a Haberstrat for everybody out there that fouls in game ones across the NBA playoffs down significantly. Free throws, by the way, 18 and a half was the average free throws per game. That is the first time ever below 20.
Love it.
Yeah, I am here for it.
Steph Curry against the Rockets. I know we're going to talk about Clippers Nuggets here in a second, but there was like two possessions in a row where they tried to run some pin downs for him, and he started with Dylan Brooks and then switched over to Jabari Smith and then switched over to Amen Thompson. And every single time he tried to get off a pin down, he was just being mauled, and he just gave up. Both possessions, he just gave up and walked away like, oh, this is going to be tough.
Overcorrection incoming, but it was fun to watch, and it was good basketball that we watched. Usually what you get in a game one, though, is the officials try to assert themselves in their presence in a series so it doesn't get out of control, right? That's not what we saw throughout the game ones, and that included what was the best game of the weekend. That Nuggets-Clippers game one went to overtime. Denver pulls it out, 112-110. Still not quite sure how they did that, because you had absolutely everything that you could have imagined and wanted in that game one, where the Clippers took a page out of the Blazers playbook, did not guard Russell Westbrook. They were like, dude, I saw a team in Portland win a series by not guarding you. We ain't going to do it.
Yeah, so in the tracking era, Russell Westbrook, with a minimum of 5 threes attempted in the playoffs, was given more space than any player in the history of the tracking era. He was given 9.7 feet. They were giving him essentially 10 feet. They were giving him 3 yards of space.
And there were times where he would catch the ball, and it works because he doesn't want to shoot it. And he would take a couple of dribbles in, and they know he's not going to shoot the mid-ranger.
That was the full yakety sack situation you saw at the end of the game when he got the ball wide open and then drove and then threw it into a guy with 4 seconds on the shot clock. And you're like, what are you doing?
Didn't even get a shot off at the end of regulation, where you're just like, okay. But he pulled the trigger on one late in the game, under 2 minutes. They didn't guard him. He hits a 3, starts yapping like, yeah, this is me.
This is what I do.
Pounding his chest. It's what other teams do to you, and they dared him to do it. And I love that Ty Lue and the Clippers said, dude, we're not going to start guarding him now.
Chris Dunn literally ran away from him to go double Jokic. That's why he was so open. They were like, we want this to happen. And if you're the Clippers, you peed down your leg. You had 20 turnovers. You should have won this game walking away.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just mind-numbingly stupid mistakes.
And Kawhi Leonard played really well, except for that aspect.
Oh,
he was
7
booting the ball
turnovers.
everywhere.
It was just, it didn't the Harden-Zubac pick and roll was just murdering the Nuggets, and they just stopped going to it.
I'll tell you what, Harden
looked good.
He looked incredible.
Oh,
and he's not flopping everywhere because he is adjusted to how playoff basketball is. That is what made me hate James Harden.
Oh, God, yeah. It was so egregious.
Everything else about his game, though, I was like, God, it's so fun. He had that runner through the lane where he just floated it over Jokic.
And there's no chance.
And it hit the front of the rim, banked off the backboard, and just fell in. That is so beautiful, and you can't guard it.
It's unstoppable.
Unless Wemby's probably the only guy who could have gotten a finger on that.
Well, and you call it Jokic there. Jokic was god-awful defensively. He was atrocious defensively, particularly in the first half. The second half, he went from god-awful to just bad, that was just enough.
How much of that is his frustrations with Michael Porter Jr.?
I think it was frustrations with basically everyone. I think he was like, are you kidding me? Because, Michael Porter Jr. was unplayable to the point where Rick Adelman was like, nah, dog, you're not playing, and went with Russell Westbrook because, look, for all of Russ's faults, and boy, is it a long list, he's never going to stop. You never have to worry about effort, intensity, give a damn, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like the intangible stuffs. Look, I have all of my Russ stuff. I'm never going to question whether he he plays hard or if he's locked in or if he's engaged. Ever. Never. He may be one of the top 5 competitors the game has ever seen.
He's delusional, but he competes.
Yeah, but that's, part of what has made him great and
Yeah.
that first ballot Hall of Famer. Despite his incredible inefficiencies, he's always a gamer. I mean, you had 2 quotes coming out of this game, one from Adelman and one from Jokic about Michael Porter Jr. Adelman said, if Michael Porter Jr. is locked in and doing the things he needs to do and he's engaged, then he'll be out there. Like, that's about as damning I think a coach can say. Jokic in the postgame was asked about if he could help get Michael Porter Jr. engaged, said, if you're not engaged at this point in time, you're playing the wrong sport.
You know who looked really engaged and he's really good in the playoffs, though? Aaron Gordon.
Yeah. I mean,
Gordon and Jokic, that's why they won that game. Because you can point to, yes, Russ made it 3, but then he burned another layup. The final possession that you're talking about, the end of regulation, where he had no plan. His plan was not to have a plan.
it was to run clock, and he's like driving the rim. It's like, what are you doing?
And
It was the same thing that he did during the regular season. It was the exact same thing.
yeah, except for there were people in the way. But
Yeah.
it was like just a boneheaded mistake where it was the highs and lows of Russell Westbrook played out in consecutive possessions 3 different times in the final 2 minutes in overtime where you're just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you couldn't believe it. But if Kawhi Leonard is back, and look, I don't think Kawhi is going to have another 7 turnover game. Goodness gracious, I hope the Clippers don't have another 20 turnover game because that was tough to watch. But I think we have the best series of the first round, lived up to it in game 1. And I can't wait for game 2 because thankfully we get it tonight.
Yes.
We get Clippers Nuggets game 2, 7:00 tonight. We don't have to wait too long for it.
Love it.
I'm here for it because that was an incredible basketball game. And those 2 teams were trading blows back and forth, and you saw the game of runs that is basketball. Each one answered the other, and I thought if there's one concern that I have, Adelman is first-year playoff coach, right? They sure changed a lot of things over the course of that game. And it's like, all right, now where do you go from now?
And
right?
that's the thing is, like, if you're the Clippers, you're looking at this game. If you can get Russ to take 15-plus shots a game, that's a win for you. If you can single cover Jokic, because Zoo did about as good a job, and we talked about this going into the series. Zoo is about the best single coverage matchup in the NBA. Maybe sans probably Wemby, who, when he gets a little more time in his game, can just be a monster. But covering Jokic, so you don't have to send those doubles all the time, and you can blitz and trap just kind of when you want to. But the Clippers have so many different ways they can go. I think they were -8 in the Chris Dunn minutes. So Chris Dunn played with basically the starters, I want to say, for 25 or 26 minutes, and they were -8. Well, if Dunn's not, because Dunn ended up breaking that wide open 3 that would have won the game for the Clippers. Do we see a little bit more Derrick Jones Jr.? Do you see Norm Powell out there, or do they take Norm Powell out of there and go a little bit bigger that way and play Harden at the 1 basically, and go super big? Like the Clippers have like 8 different things that they can go to in game 2. I don't know where the Nuggets go. I mean, yeah, you can be like, well, Michael Porter Jr. cannot suck, but that's also like something that the Nuggets have to go into every game with.
But yeah, you have the best player in the world. He can be a big help too.
Oh, he is. I mean,
He
that
can be a
look,
big help.
But I mean, Murray was, hounded the entire game, and he was okay, but not. It didn't look like playoff Jamal Murray. And we've talked about like all of the things that are bothering the Nuggets heading into this. It's not just their GM being fired. It's not just Mike Malone being fired. It's the disruption within the team, and it's Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray. Like,
Yeah.
those are the 2 guys, and if you're the Nuggets, you feel lucky to get one here. I still think the Clippers are going to win this series.
Hey, Blazers have a big day today.
Mhm.
We've got that to discuss because
I believe it happens in 10 minutes.
they're not in the playoffs, but they got something coming down the line. We'll get you ready for that next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
Oregon.
right, coming up at the top of the hour, Blazers are going to get some news coming in.
I think.
Hmm?
It's either here in 6 minutes or it's an hour and 6 minutes. I've gotten conflicting reports on what time it's actually happening.
All right. Well, today we're going to find out the coin toss. Well, it's not really a coin toss, but anymore of the Blazers and the
Suns/Rockets,
because they tied with the same record, and now we will see who gets that coveted spot at ninth.
So what'll happen is, they're going to split the odds down the middle, and what will happen is there will be one set of odds left because there's an odd number between them. The winner of the coin toss will get that last set of odds, and that team will also have the 9th position in the lottery. So if neither team moves up, they will start at 9 and whoever the winner is will start at 9 and 10s, and then they'll get bumped back accordingly if teams behind them jump up.
Okay, well, if you're wondering what's the difference there, for the number one pick, the Blazers with the 9th best odds at the 9 spot would have a 3.8% chance. 10th is 3.7. 4.1 to 4.0 for second. 4.5 to 4.4 for the third pick. 4.9 down to 4.8 for the 10th. So it doesn't dramatically change where they would be going. No. That jump comes from moving up to 8th, which they don't have the possibility to do because you go from 3.8% to 6% chance for the number one pick.
So what this means is when you go into the lottery day, let's just say they win the coin toss and they're 9th, just to use this for the math. Their potential outcomes are 1 through 4 or 9 through 13. They cannot be 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yep.
They cannot jump into that range. You either jump up into the top 4 because the lottery is only for the top 4 picks, and then you fall in a line accordingly.
All right. 9th pick has a 50% chance to pick 9th. How about that? 28.3 for 10th, 3.5 for 11th, 12th is 0.1, and then 13th would be slightly above 0. For the 10th, if you're slotted in at 10th, it's 63% chance to draft 10th, 18.5 for 11th, 1.2 for 12th, and then just a slightly above 0 for 13 or 14. So not the biggest deal in the world, but still at this point, anything helps.
Yeah, no.
Basketball gods, this could be their first time they shine down on Portland.
You have a roughly 17+% chance of moving into the top 4. So slightly less than 1 in 5.
All right. Well, nothing will really change except for you'll be a double digit or single digit heading into the draft lottery on May 12th, which is a Monday. It's a weird day to do that.
It is.
That's when the draft lottery is,
but
Monday, May 12th.
We're not doing the lottery or the draft on Mother's Day this year, so they got that going for them.
Hey, that's positive news.
How they did that last year is beyond me.
That is positive news. All right, 503-864-6326. That's a fan text line. We get to hour number 2. We got some NFL draft nugs. We got some more of the NBA playoffs still to come as we got a lot of leftovers from that. Oh, by the way, Cooper Flagg announced he's going to enter the NBA draft. So everybody's surprised.
Oh, my shock face.
There's a couple of texters that probably were surprised at that, but we've been trying to tell you. He didn't leave high school early to go to Duke 2 years. And now he officially has entered the NBA draft. But we got something big we got to tell you about next. Danny and Dusty on the Fan.
This is Rick Jones of Goldberg Jones.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan for NHL playoff games today. The Canadiens and Capitals are going to start their series tonight at 4 in the nation's capital. Right now, the Caps are favored on the money line. Then at 4:30, the Blues and Jets get set for Game 2 of their series in Winnipeg. Jets are favored on the money line right now, and they are up 1-0 in that series. The nightcap kicks off at 6:30. Colorado looks to take a commanding 2-game lead over the Dallas Stars, despite the Stars hosting the first 2 games of the series. Right now, the Avs are favored on the money line. The night ends in LA. You got the first game of the Oilers-Kings series. Right now, LA is favored on the money line. Over in the NBA, they announced their finalists for their regular season awards. Nikola Jokic and SGA are headlining the announcement as the 2 finalists for the MVP award. There is a local angle. A former Oregon Duck, Peyton Pritchard, is set for the 6th Man of the Year trophy. He's a finalist. He's going to be taking on the Cavs' Ty Jerome and Pistons' Malik Beasley for that award. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's back, the 11th annual Fan Golf Classic.
Week, and boy, the buzz is already starting heading into Thursday's draft at Lambeau Field in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Everybody gets a draft these days. But we have big news today. We have opened up a chance for you to get your spot in the Fan Golf Classic. Woo! Shake and bake, baby. Your local Portland Toyota dealers present the 11th annual Fan Golf Classic out at Langdon Farms Golf Club on Tuesday, June 24th, brought to you by Henderson & Daughters Windows and Doors and by Philbrook Law Accident and Injury Lawyers. So we have an afternoon and a morning round, as we always do at the Fan Golf Classic. Matt's Barbecue will be there for the post-round meal, and the Fan Golf Classic, it's the 11th annual. This is crazy that we have now gone to the 11th annual Fan Golf Classic. It's Tuesday, June 24th, and you can go to 1080thefan.com, click on the Fan Golf Classic logo. You can get details and the link to purchase a foursome. We have more details that we're going to be rolling out, but we will see you out at Langdon Farms. Local Toyota dealers present the 11th annual Fan Golf Classic. It is back, baby!
Let's go!
And it is pre-July 4th, because last year we were after the 4th of July weekend. We are now back in June, the last week of June there, full week, June 24th. Let's get it. I'm excited. So go to 1080thefan.com and you can sign up, and we'll have more details on everything that's going to be out there, some of the attractions that we will have.
I already have June 24th blacked out on my calendar.
Well, you will be blacked out on June 24th because that has become a tradition for Danny.
It is the one time a year that my wife is reduced to being a married Uber driver.
All right.
I don't do it often, but I do. It's a good event to get absolutely turned up to.
Yeah. It is a great time. So get your foursomes together. June 24th, Langdon Farms. Go to 1080thefan.com. It is local Portland Toyota dealers presents the Fan Golf Classic, and it's brought to you by Henderson & Daughters Windows and Doors and Philbrook Law Accident and Injury Lawyers. So I'm excited to see everybody out there. This is always a fun time. Everybody's going to get their foursomes ready. Look, if you know you're a morning person,
Get it now.
you need to. They fill up very quickly.
I've already
the
sent out
morning
my
round.
text message blast to everybody who was like, "Oh man, I want to do it this year."
Yeah.
And I was like, if you want to do it, make sure you get in now before whatever time slot you want. And the morning does fill up faster. That's how it goes.
Yep. So get it done. Get it right. 11th Annual Fan Golf Classic. Boom. June 24th. Tell your friends. All right. We do have the NFL draft. It's coming up this week, Thursday. Thursday.
We have a full-on countdown clock on ESPN that says 75 hours, 53 minutes, and 25 seconds right now.
That seems
a bit much.
aggressive.
I think you could start it at 72.
Well, this year is so unique in the NFL draft in that this is the first time in the common draft era since 1967 when there were far fewer teams. I think there was only like 24 teams back then. This is the first year that every team still holds their first round pick entering an NFL
It's kind
draft.
of crazy.
And we talked about this like a couple of months ago. We'd reached the threshold back in February, like just after the Super Bowl, of it being the latest time of year since 1993 that every team had held their picks. That lasted only until the Kansas City Chiefs gave up their first round pick to San Francisco so they could trade for Joe Montana. Now here we are. We are days away from the NFL draft. All 32 still hold their first round pick. And I think this tells us, just how damn valuable your first round picks are.
Yeah.
And in the NFL, it is so different. The NBA, it's going to, Oklahoma City's not going to have all of them. I think they have 4 this year.
Yeah.
That's not going to last even.
No, they don't have the roster spots for it.
But in the NFL, you need cheap, high-end talent. And the way you get that is in the first round. In this year's draft, it's not as top-heavy. So teams aren't willing to trade up and give away their first-round pick to move up into the high top 4, top 5, but it's strong everywhere in this draft. Every position group is strong in the NFL draft this year. It's just not top end talent.
And the only guy you can really see on the market right now who could command a first or multiple firsts is TJ Watt. Like players that are kind of thought to be available. Like, is anybody giving up a first round pick for Mark Andrews? No.
No.
There's no wide receiver that's currently out there that anybody's talking about. Like,
teams don't trade established players for first round picks in the NFL very often.
No.
You just don't do it because of what they're worth. And you know that if you bring in an established veteran, he takes up a big chunk of your salary cap. So you have to have cheap talent somewhere, and that's with your first round picks. What you see in the NFL is you trade your first round pick for another first round pick. And that's how you move up. We haven't seen any of that this year. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see some action, whether it is in the next 3 days or on draft day, for a team wanting to move up. They fall in love with the guy and
into the first round.
Right now, you have got this is going to be smokescreen season, and this is the 3 days before the draft are the least trustworthy days of any reporter because they're all getting played.
There's already a lot of news and notes out there as far as like teams that could be making trades or looking to make trades leading into the draft to move some guys around. There's the 5th-year option guys. There are the veterans, the Mark Andrewses of the world. And it's going to be interesting to kind of see how that goes. But like, again, for me personally, the Raiders are a team that they might as well put a bullseye on Ashton Genty's back at this point in time. I mean, their GM has already come out and said that they're very interested in taking a running back. And they've been flagging this really since they traded for Geno Smith.
No, they are minus on the betting markets. I think last I saw it was like minus 400 to draft a running back in the first round.
Now, does that mean they take Ashton Genty, or does that mean they trade back and they look at Amari and Hampton? Like I don't know. If I was a betting man, I'm gonna go with them taking Ashton Genty.
Boy, trading back and drafting a running back that isn't the number 1 running back in the first round is quite a choice. Not a good one.
No. And also, I think
I don't think they'd do that.
Genty's a dude. I will say this. If the Raiders do select Ashton Genty, I will be getting my first Raiders jersey in a very long time.
That is such a ballsy choice.
I love him.
I do too. I think he's incredible, but
he's probably going to be gone in a matter of years if they do draft him.
He is a running back, and the shelf life is short. and he is a high-end talent, but it's not like he did it like Derrick Henry did at the University of Alabama.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like he was Saquon Barkley running through Big Ten defenses. He did it in the Mountain West. He did it, but he did it against Oregon. He did it in the college football playoff. Like we've seen him against some really good teams, but it's an interesting body of work that has gotten him to that spot, because usually it's from a guy from a power conference who just was so damn impressive against the best teams in college football. Instead, like you're watching his highlight videos, and most of his runs are against Georgia Southern and Portland State that they're rolling out there. And that's not to say his highlight film is ridiculous.
He had more yards after contact than anybody else had rushing yards in the country.
And he was that dominant.
Yeah.
He was that damn good. But he's also not like Saquon Barkley or Derrick Henry in that he's not a physical freak.
No, I mean, well,
like
he is, but he's small.
In stature. Like Derrick Henry is 6'3", 250 pounds. Saquon Barkley is 5'11", but has quite possibly the largest legs I've ever seen.
Yeah. Hey, did you know he can squat 600 pounds?
He can squat 600 pounds. Yeah, I've read that. Ashton Genty is 5'8", and
I saw him dunk.
Dude, he is explosive. He is so explosive. But it's like you can't shove any muscle into him because his skin will break.
Yeah. That's the one thing when you saw him up close in person, you're like, his muscles have muscles and they have muscles.
And
there's nowhere else for him to go.
He was not 5'9", which is what they listed him at. And I'm happy that I was correct on that.
Yeah, at the combine, he was 5'8" in shoes.
Yeah. But he is so good.
Yeah.
I will that's a risk of how good he could be, especially because you don't have a receiving core that's going to keep defenses honest downfield. So it is load the box, and let's see if Geno Smith can pick us apart. And your cast of, outside of Brock Bowers, a lot of okay NFL receivers can get open.
You know, it's funny on the mock draft.
Hmm.
They have the Raiders taking pretty much every expert now in the second round.
Wide receiver?
No.
Corner?
Corner. Not just any corner. The corner who had the fastest 40 time at the combine.
Well, that fits.
A little hat tip to Al Davis.
Bad habits die hard. Bad habits die hard. All right, 503-864-6326. That's the fan text line. They rolled him out there, and this time cameras were allowed. And I can now see why he didn't on the first one. Danny Dusty on the Fan. Nico Harrison to make his first in front of cameras public appearance. He had a press conference today. He's the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks, the one who decided to trade Luka Doncic for a guy who got hurt in the playing game on Friday.
Pennies on the dollar.
And Tim McMahon of ESPN, there was rumblings that this was going to happen, that he had basically the murder weapon for Nico Harrison's firing that he was going to unveil after the Mavericks got eliminated from the playoffs. And he posted a story today that's a doozy. It's not quite what I was expecting when I saw on Friday morning that McMahon was going to release something that was going to bury Nico Harrison. But it paints a picture of the dysfunction and disruption that Nico Harrison has brought to Dallas.
Of a guy who doesn't know what the hell he's doing. That's fundamentally what it comes down to. So Tim Cato, who works for used to work for the Athletic, works for DLLS. It's one of the many branches of the All NBA group started in Denver and DNVR. He was at the press conference today, and his article that he just published. This is I'll tie all this together. Team sources consistently express belief that Dumont no longer sees Harrison as a figure with irreproachable basketball expertise. Most notably, team and league sources say Dumont has had frustration with Harrison not warning him, or perhaps even more damningly, being unaware of the fandom's outrage following the trade. Those same sources say it had some influence over Dumont's decision to make Harrison appear for last week's closed media event. And if you're wondering what that is, Nico Harrison had a quote today that I don't even know how to explain it. I can't begin. Just listen to this.
I did know that Luka was important to the fan base. I didn't quite know it to what level, but really the way we looked at it is, if you're putting a team on the floor that's Kyrie, Clay, PJ, Anthony Davis, and Lively, we feel that's a championship caliber team, and we would have been winning at a high level, and that would have quieted some of the outrage. And so unfortunately we weren't able to do that, so it just continued to, go on and on.
There's so many things there. First of all, that's not a championship quality team. It's not even close to a championship quality team. You cannot say that.
Well, I think the bigger one is you didn't know what he meant to the fan base.
And that's the more egregious thing. And this is at that point, there's two paths you can take there. Either he unknowingly, irresponsibly did not know the value and the meaning of Luka Doncic to the franchise, or he did it deliberately.
Yeah.
And either way, he's unfit to be the general manager of that franchise.
Yeah.
Or of any franchise.
You said something in him being a guy that doesn't know what he's doing. And I go, I don't know, because I think he's doing what he does know. Because where did he work out before?
Nike.
What, in the time that he worked at Nike, it was a lot of the things, including they just recently turned over their CEO.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of the conversations of Nike had lost its way.
Mm-hmm.
There are several lawsuits that are pending that have gone to like dysfunction of management at Nike and all that stuff. And look, I love Nike. I'm swoosh bag through and through, right? I'm
literally head to toe Nike right now.
But there was a lot of the things of the power struggles that we've heard from, a lot of the stuff that's been published about Nike, and hey, we are going to take away anybody we're going to silence whoever has more power than us or can sway the people with power, and we're going to silence them. That's what Tim McMahon kind of outlines, is that what Nico Harrison has done very quietly to the public, but very loudly within the building in Dallas, is that he has gotten rid of any person that could be a threat to his power or that could be a voice of reason to question his power to the owners. That includes Mark Cuban, Dirk Nowitzki, the medical team that is now in New York with the Knicks, and it has created like a little bit of like this, everybody's looking over their shoulder and a little bit of hostility there. And I think that when you kind of read that and you're like, knowing where he's what his background is of being a cutthroat dude, that's what he's doing, and it's ineffective as a leader of an NBA franchise, and it's ineffective at leading anybody in that regard, and kind of the way that McMahon frames what's going on. But it also has to do with something that I've been saying the whole time, which is that ownership doesn't know anything about the Mavericks. They don't care about the Mavericks. They look at it as they just bought a business, and Nico Harrison was the guy that was, he knows. He knows what he's doing. So we're just going to let him do what he's doing. Now they're seeing firsthand that guy is not fit for this role, and they have, and I don't know if you could have a bigger buyer's remorse than what the Dumont family probably has right now, because of everything that we've outlined that they're trying to do with legalizing gambling in the state of Texas, building a casino and a new stadium in Dallas, where you need to get the fan base rallied. They have absolutely lost all of that with these moves and the trust with Nico Harrison. And now you're starting to see, whether it's Tim Cato or Tim McMahon with the hit pieces against him, I don't see how he survives as the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks beyond this week. This week,
honestly, he shouldn't get through the day. But I also said that when he had the closed door press conference, whatever the hell that was, where what came out of that was when they asked him about the future, I said, I see myself, fulfilling my 3 years, and then I'm out of here. So you've got a guy who's just looking at 3 years, and there's no long-term vision. He's going to leave the organization with the bag. Like, think about the Mavs organization in 3 years. You no longer have Luka Doncic, who would be in his prime. Anthony Davis will be 34. Kyrie Irving will be, 36? What? You don't have any draft picks because they're gone.
Yeah.
You didn't get anything back from the Lakers in that deal. You have nothing. You have nothing. And you were just, the organization is just screwed. Like, from like the most cynical viewpoint, if you believe the Adelsons and Patrick Dumont, they have nothing to do with this. And everybody's like, he's taking cues from ownership. I don't believe that. No. I don't believe that for 1 second.
And what we're finding out now is that he has all the power.
He saw a power vacuum when Cuban sold the team, and he snatched it all up for himself. And this is something that happens across sports. When, like, that's something that people thought about when in Denver, when Calvin Booth got fired and Mike Malone. Is there an assistant GM somewhere that doesn't like either of them? Mm-hmm. And he wants them both gone because he wants the job and he doesn't want to deal with Mike Malone? Like, that was one of the first things that I got told from somebody in Denver, was that it feels like there's somebody who's playing everyone's side, because it's cutthroat in the executive world, not just in the NBA, across sports. And those people that want to be GMs, they don't care.
Yeah,
they don't care. They will step on you every which way.
Yeah,
and if there's an opportunity to grab that power because you know better, because you, like, in sports, you succeed because you're the best. There's this inherent self-belief that I can do this better. And so Nico Harrison saw this opportunity to alienate your franchise's best player in Dirk Nowitzki, to cut out the owner who had sold the team but still holds basically a quarter of the stake in the team. I think it's like 24%. Mark Cuban still owns a large portion of the team. He's just no longer the majority shareholder. Because part of the deal when Cuban sold the team is that he would lead basketball operations. Well, they cut his legs out from underneath him because the fine-tooth comb on the language of the contract when he sold the team wasn't good enough. And so neither of those guys were talked to or consulted when Luka was being traded, because both of them would have immediately gone to Tim McMahon.
Yeah, absolutely.
100%. They would not have allowed that to happen. There's not a chance in hell that they would have allowed that to happen. And you look at everything, there is, short of Luka Doncic's legs being blown off by a landmine, there is nothing that can happen that can redeem this for them. Like, if let's just say you fire Nico Harrison and you hire a new general manager to try to salvage anything out of this, Kyrie Irving's in a he's got a player option. He can opt out and just leave. Anthony Davis is great, but oft injured.
Hold on. The thing about Kyrie, he's going to opt into that knowing he's not going to play next year, and he's going to collect a paycheck because he tore his ACL.
Though they're putting out there that he could return in January, and they're not worried about he may opt out and just sign an extension. Like that's what they've kind of flagged is going to happen, and I'm just like, so you're going into the next year with your hands already tied behind your back, and it's like, why? Like why? I don't know if ownership is because they're so new to this that they don't realize just how bad things are, that they're afraid that if they cut bait, it's like admitting failure, and billionaires hate doing that. We got it wrong. And that's why a lot of times you see guys that should not be in positions held on to for so long. And it's not just the NBA, just look across sports.
No, they need to realize and know, though, that what will happen is your fan base
you might
will
galvanize them.
Start coming back around because he's the villain.
Yeah. Oh, God, yes.
He is the villain. And everything that's being framed right now is that they trusted the basketball guy to make the basketball decisions. And a fan base can be rationalized with to the point of saying, hey, this ownership's not going to meddle in what's going on the basketball side. And they trusted the guy who was already there when they got there. In that, like, they'll probably point the finger right at Mark Cuban, who hired Nico Harrison, and say, look, that wasn't an us problem. That was a him problem. And
there's a way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to get all of them back, and you won't until you win. And that's what Nico Harrison is saying in that clip is that, well, things just didn't go all right. Well, part of McMahon's big piece of his article is that the reason why there might be so many injuries is because they took a very well-respected league-wide medical staff, dismantled it, and then brought in two guys who absolutely hate each other, and one of them is not even qualified to train NBA players, and he is your head strength and conditioning coach who does not have the qualifications outlined by the NBA, and the NBA is like, yeah, he has the college one, and we said, you can work this year with it, but he's not even NBA certified to be their strength coach. Him and the new team doctor performance doctor hate each other, have yelled at each other, have rushed guys back from injuries, and maybe the reason why guys are getting re-injured so often this season.
And on top of that, that previous training staff was very tight with Luka and was very tight with Dirk Nowitzki.
And all of their players.
Yes. Very well respected.
Yeah. So much so that the day that his contract expired with the Mavericks, the Knicks hired him and one other person.
We didn't even mention when he was fired. He was away from the team tending to his ill mother who was in the path of passing away.
Yep, she was on her deathbed, and they were all coming back from Dirk Nowitzki's Hall of Fame induction, which Dirk invited the performance doctor to.
Because he was such a good friend.
And then when they were on their way back from that, Nico Harrison said, hey, need to meet with you. He's like, yeah, I'm not in Dallas. I'm in Ohio. Sends him a Zoom link, what I'm assuming is a Zoom link. Cans him via Zoom.
While he's at his mom's deathbed.
Yikes. So things have not been going well. And it didn't go any better today.
I mean, the quotes that are coming out of this are just, they're heinous.
I didn't know how much you meant to the fans. Kind of like one of the descriptions of your job.
If it's not the most important thing, it's top 3.
Having a pulse of your team in the fan base, yeah, it is. You know, the fans' love affair with the players should not determine what you do with your moves.
But there's a sliding scale.
But knowing the importance of Luka Doncic probably does.
Imagine trading Damian Lillard year 6.
Yeah, that would not have gone well. No.
4 pennies on the dollar.
Like the year after Dame breaks the Oklahoma City Thunder, which, by the way, this iteration of the Oklahoma City Thunder may have been built by the Damian Lillard. Because that's when Paul George was like, I can't do this
Imagine trading Damian Lillard after that for Blake Griffin.
Yeah, the very next year. Yeah, that wouldn't have been good. Except for put that on steroids because Luka backpacked a team to the NBA Finals.
Just unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable
Yeah,
stuff.
it's really bad. It's really bad.
I don't know, man. All right, coming up on our worst day on the web. Don't make this apparently common error. Sweet Jesus. I did not know this was a thing that's common. But first, we'll get the big Will Bets of the Sports Center update.
This is Draft Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Sports Center is brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on the Fan, the NBA playoffs are continuing today. Got a couple of game twos, one in each conference. Starting in the East, the Knicks are hosting the Pistons in Madison Square Garden. Knicks looking to go up 2-0 on Detroit after their come-from-behind victory in Game 1. Knicks are favored by 6.5. Total is set at 220.5. Tip-off at 4:30. Then at 7, the Nuggets are hosting the Clippers in Game 2 of their series. Despite being at home and being up 1-0 in the series, Denver's not favored in this one. Clips favored by 1.5. Total is set at 218.5. Over in college basketball, Duke star freshman Cooper Flagg announced today that he will be entering the NBA draft this summer. Flagg is expected to be the #1 overall pick. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
It's The Fan on FM. Go to 99.5 FM HD2 and enjoy high
Plus, at some point in time, we confuse one thing for another. We're not paying attention, or possibly you were inebriated or altered state of mind, something along those lines. But I, for one, have never confused my eye drops with my nail glue with eye drops.
I don't use nail glue, so
I don't either. But still, that seems like a tough one to kind of confuse. They come in
I have no idea
similarly
what
shaped bottles.
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I don't think I've ever seen a thing of nail glue.
Well, a woman. This actually comes from back in December, but it's making the rounds on the news cycle again for whatever reason. But a woman is recovering after accidentally gluing her eyelid shut because she thought her nail glue was her eye drops.
Okay, I've just Googled nail glue, and most of them don't look like eye drops. But there's a
couple that do.
Kiss is a company, and it looks just like eye drops. 100%. It looks like eye drops. I didn't know what to expect. Most of them look like super glue or nail polish, though. She has the one, I'm assuming, that looks just like an eye drop little dropper.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Contact wearer.
Yeah.
I'm blind as a bat.
Yeah.
And I made a terrible mistake once. I was in tech school, and I chewed for 20 plus years. And I had put a dip in, did the normal thing that I used to do, which is wipe it off on the inside of my cargo pocket of my BDU. I'm like, all right, we're good there. And I had a contact pop out. Didn't even think it popped out, and I just grabbed it with my left hand and my index finger and put it back in. You know what's on your finger?
Yeah, residue of tobacco.
Fiberglass.
Oh. Well, yeah.
My eye felt like somebody had set it on fire. And ever since that time, anytime I touch my contacts, I will just go to a bathroom, make sure I wash my hands thoroughly so I don't ever come close to feeling that. And with drops, I will look at the damn bottle like 15 times before I ever put anything in my eye because my eye burned so bad from that experience.
So this woman glued her eyeball shut. You're kind of bearing the lead on this. She glued her eyeball, her eye shut.
Mm-hmm. Like shut, because it's like nail glue is like super glue.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to hold on at fake acrylic nails for a long period of time.
Okay. Now, this is natural selection. You do know, like you should know, what you're picking up.
It's in your eye.
Is she able to get her eye open?
Eventually, it looks like they were able to do it, but she says, when it hit my eye, it immediately burned like really bad. It wasn't until I went to rub it, and when I came back, my finger got stuck on my eye, and that's when it clicked. I was like, oh, that was nail glue.
Oh, my God. Wait, so if you glue your eye shut, like, this is the thing, is she blind in that eye now? Because if you just leave it in there, you can't even flush your eye out and get the glue out of your eye. So if she dropped this glue onto her actual eyeball, like, is she just like blind in that eye?
It doesn't say that she's
oh my gosh.
blind, but yeah, there's a PSA poison control expert say it's not uncommon for people to make this mistake.
Should be.
Ladies.
I think it should be too.
You know what? Now I want to say this, ladies, because you know what? Dudes out there, you might put some press-ons too. Double check the bottle.
Or don't keep the bottles by each other.
But like she said, she visited several doctors and they all expect her eye will stay glued for another month and a half.
What?
She said, I haven't had any peaceful sleep. I have horrible headaches. They said that the glue could also be messing with my sinuses.
Yeah, I would think so. So she's sniffing glue and has her eye glued shut?
She's high all the time.
Golly. Now, you said that this happens often. I'm looking at something where another woman had done this, and it said that 5 to 7 weeks for her eye to fully open, and she would need another further examination for potential damages. Whoa. And well, okay.
There's no like eye safe product that you could put on her eyelid, like dab on with a Q-tip
To release it?
to release it.
Probably not.
I guess it's probably under her eyelid.
Yeah, I don't
Like
even.
it's probably it's not probably like where your eyes come together. It's probably like the inside of her eyelid is glued to her eyeball.
That is awful. That's like that's one of the scarier
That's
things.
terrifying.
I wouldn't even know. And was it just one eye?
It's just one eye,
Okay.
left eye.
I mean,
Big fan of TLC.
look, I'm just gonna say here, like, I wouldn't put it past somebody to double drop those things and all of a sudden now you're just walking around no eyes. At least you could put an eye patch on, do something cool for like at least a month until that thing
Right?
opens back up.
I feel like Jeff Russ is just texted in. She got herself into a sticky situation
Hey,
on the fan text line.
Would she win a lawsuit?
no.
No, well,
Are we
well,
sure?
yeah. I mean, McDonald's hot coffee.
Are we?
Yeah, this
Well,
is right there.
no.
Hold on. The hot coffee one is kind of a misnomer because that was too
That was
hot.
scalding
way
hot.
too
Like,
hot.
it was-
But
yeah.
remember, there are certain like shirt companies where when you buy the shirt, there comes with a warning and it says "Do not iron while wearing."
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
because someone sued and won that way.
Yeah. Well, I
Can she sue
feel
and win?
I feel like it would be pretty simple to you didn't even read the label. Like you're talking there was no warning on there that don't put it in your eye. This is you meant to put an eye drop in and you put glue in because you didn't do your part of reading what you were putting into your eye. Now, if they were selling this nail glue as something different and maybe as, hey, go ahead, put in your eye. But I've also never seen a glue label or any adhesive
that doesn't have a
does not
giant
have a
warning label?
warning if ingested, call,
Poison control.
Do not put in mouth, eyes, open wounds, because that's another thing. People use super glue to like shut wounds.
I mean, I did that to bring my lip back together.
I've done that before too.
Super glue and duct tape.
Not on my lip though, but like I've done that before. Not supposed to. Tells you not to do it.
No, the stitches weren't readily available.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a feeling this nail glue probably had a warning on it, not to ingest.
I mean, this is pretty high up there on the dumb scale.
Yeah, it is.
And the fact that so many people are like, "Oh no, I've done that too," and I'm like, "Wow, Darwin is not he's putting in the time, but not the effort."
Yeah. Yeah.
Like these are the people we should be weeding out.
Well, these are good cautionary tales. All right. Always check that eye drops before you put it in your eye.
If it's
I always do that anyways because I want to look at expiration dates because I don't know where they how long they've been.
the whole like
around.
expiration dates on like saline solution, I've always wondered with that. I'm like, how does it go bad?
Yeah, mine's more of the allergy stuff, so I don't know if they have something else in there.
The allergy stuff too. How does that go bad?
I don't know.
I'm not. Maybe there's. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
The off chance that a doctor is listening right now.
I still use saline that I think I bought in high school.
Yeah, you're probably okay.
I mean,
Doesn't hurt when it goes in my eye.
Yeah.
My eyesight can't get worse now.
Yeah, I'm just I don't never check on like my actual solution. It's always eye drops. So
yeah.
I'm gonna check that.
I did the fridge clean this weekend. I found a thing of mustard that I hadn't used in God knows how long. Expiration was 2023 on that one.
Dang, dog.
I was like, ooh.
Grandpa Gary Ortner's like that. When you go to his house and he goes, "Hey, I got something for you."
Mhm.
You double check.
Double check the expiration.
Gotta double check the
Mm.
expiration.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. There's certain things out there like the expiration date. Yeah,
Oh, hey, how about this? I looked this up for you. I'm assuming she used the Kiss brand because it looks just like a. I found the warning label: keep out of reach of children, causes skin irritation, eye irritation, may cause respiratory irritation.
Oh.
So it does say may cause eye irritation. Like, I don't know, your eye may get glued shut.
See, but that's where the lawyer doesn't say it's going to keep your eye glued shut and cause blindness,
Yeah, it's glue.
possible blindness.
It's glue.
I understand, but they also tell you, like, you should know not to iron your clothes while you're wearing them.
I will say also that this one has always pops up in the military. The fan text line, a Claymore mine says front towards enemy.
Mm.
And it does say front and back
Yeah.
embossed on the explosive device.
Well, I think that's good. that they give those warnings to people.
It's shaped a certain way, but it also has the
Yeah. You don't want that thing blown up the wrong way.
no.
Yeah. Front towards enemy,
Mhm.
not towards your friends.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, good. They nailed that then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
So don't be dumb. Read the labels, guys.
Oh, hey, got more on the label. Bonds skin and eyes in seconds. And that's in all caps. on the
She
warning
might
label.
not win this lawsuit.
I don't think she's gonna win it, bro.
Also, it's one of those things where it's like, is that one of those ones that where if you get it on your fingers and you like put it together, you put your index finger and your thumb together, they could stay stuck.
Yeah.
I've had that happen before, but my dad had some, but some sort of liquid that probably also wasn't good for my skin that was able to break it down quite quickly.
Oh, hey, I don't think this is a doctor, but I'm gonna go ahead and say they are. It doesn't go bad. It just loses its efficacy.
Mm.
So, there we go.
There you go. All right, we'll take that.
And then there's P1 Coal. Expiration dates don't really have a lot to do with anything. Yeah, it's just so you buy more, right?
Yeah.
No, some things
Especially
go
when it
very
comes to
bad.
meat.
That's
Things
sell
go
by dates you're
very,
thinking of.
Very, very bad. Things go very
I will
bad.
say the sell by date, it does vary.
Yeah. The
Yeah, it
sell
does.
by date is
Yeah.
what he's thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'll mess with some milk. You gotta give it the sniff
You
test.
give this the
Yeah.
sniff and the shake.
And if the sniff test doesn't pass immediately, let's see the taste test.
Ooh.
Well, and you've
See-
got guinea pigs.
You're dang right I do.
Hey, kids, come here. Try this milk.
Yeah. Well, sometimes like we've had like milk that has gone bad. My son is like mowing down on cereal, and I'm like, "Buddy, do you taste that? Does it taste funny?" He's like, stops. I'm like, "Oh boy, does this kid got COVID? Like, can he not taste anything?" And he's like, "Yeah, it doesn't taste like normal milk." It's like, you think?
You're just getting him some cultures.
Like, what are you doing?
You're just proofing him up against some
Just-
war zone diseases.
This kid is just housing cereal with awful milk, and he's just
chunky
like,
milk.
it's like until he had to actually stop. It's
Hmm.
like when you eat spicy chips,
Mhm.
it's not that spicy until you stop eating them, and you're like, oh boy,
There it is.
that's him, but with spoiled milk.
Ugh.
Love that.
Ugh. Kids are built different.
He's going to be such a bro.
All right, coming up next,
Gonna be.
college football video game. They've got another banger on the way, and they've got a big change. We'll get to that next year on Danny and Dusty, Tenny the Fan.
It's back.
College football video game from EA Sports returned last season to a smash success. Just outstanding reviews and all of the fun. I took many a dynasty to many a championships from many bad conferences, but it was missing something. And now they have rectified that. College football EA Sports has brought Metallica into the game, and they are going to hold a contest for the best marching band in Division I to record with them and to be featured in the game.
I think it's just great because now Enter Sandman can be played before Virginia Tech
Yes.
takes the field. I think that's a big plus. But is it? Does that? That was the one takeaway is Metallica was missing from the game.
Yeah, it was missing.
That's pretty cool. So what is going to happen here with a marching band? So a marching band is going to. They're going to have. What does this contest look like?
They didn't outline what the contest is going to look like yet.
Okay.
So I imagine it's going to be so it's only from Division I schools, but they're having some sort of competition. I'm assuming they're going to submit a video.
Yep. I'm in
to do it, and then so they'll record with Metallica
for
a
Virginia
Metallica
Tech
song.
has to win this, right?
It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, you have.
I'm not
to.
gonna lie though, but like one of the HBCUs who look, when it comes to marching bands,
way better.
They hold it down.
Yeah,
it's not close.
Yeah,
like FAMU going out there and winning this would be pretty dope. Not gonna lie. Prairie View, one of those schools coming out there and figuring it out would be pretty cool. So they're gonna do a Metallica song, but beyond that, they're going to also record an original that will be featured in a future college football game.
Now I'm talking. Now we're talking.
That's pretty rad.
All right. I like the Metallica dudes are all into sports.
Yeah.
Like they're more baseball guys. I love their Giants. But I thought one missed opportunity. I was hoping that Mariano Rivera's final game, they were going to set up in the back, like in the batter's eye. And as Mariano Rivera goes out to Enter Sandman, it was a live rendition. Thought that would have been badass.
Full on
that
Mets
didn't happen.
with Timmy Trumpet.
Yeah. Yes. It would have been the best.
Yeah.
But if we got Enter Sandman now for Virginia Tech at Lane Stadium in the game, I'm good with it. The band component, look, the Big Ten opened my eyes to one thing. They do bands way better in Big Ten. The original Big Ten schools, they go all out in their bands. Like the the West Coast schools, we don't do bands like they do.
Dot in the I, as much as I hate Ohio State, pretty dope.
Purdue with the world's largest drum, they had a badass band. Wisconsin's band was huge, and they have like a old 1930s fire truck that leads them out onto the field, which is pretty sweet. Yeah.
Pomp and circumstance, man.
Yeah, this year Iowa and Penn State getting to see those, like they go all out. Michigan's band was just massive. They took up the entire field. There's nowhere to go on the field there, and then they just run out between the banners. You're like, golly, on TV it does not look like it's this big of a production. It is. It's pretty sweet.
So it's something I wanted to bring up because it's cool. I love it.
Sweet.
All
I'm
right,
here.
Coming up next, hour number 3, we're going to pivot back to the NBA playoffs with some big news, notes, and trends that we noticed from Game 1 looking into Game 2 here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
KFXX KWJJ HD2 Portland. An Odyssey Sports Station. Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on the Fan, 4 NHL playoff games going on today. The Canadiens and Capitals start their series tonight at 4 in the nation's capital. Caps are favored on the money line. Then at 4:30, Blues and Jets get set for Game 2 of their series in Winnipeg. Jets are favored on the money line in that one. They're already up 1-0 in that series. At 6:30, Colorado looks to take a 2-game lead over the Dallas Stars. Stars have been hosting. Would be brutal for them to drop the first 2 games of the series at home. Avs are favored on the money line. The night's going to end in LA when the first game of the Oilers and Kings series starts. LA is favored on the money line in that one. That one looks to get underway around 7. No game today for your Seattle Mariners, fresh off their series victory over the Blue Jays in Toronto. Seattle's won 4 straight series. They're back in action tomorrow, taking on the Red Sox in Boston. Speaking of the Red Sox, they were able to take care of business against the White Sox today. They won their game 4-2. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work? Insurance companies acting like jerks? Don't call your mom. Call George McCoy at WarrenAllen.com.
More, please. Golf in the
Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080am the fan or twitch.tv/1080am the fan, we appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this wonderful, wonderful Monday. We have a bit of breaking news. I wasn't sure what's happening at 1 or 2 o'clock. The NBA has announced that the tiebreaker has taken place, the coin flip, as it were, for the lottery odds tiebreakers. The Phoenix Suns, also known as the Houston Rockets because they have to convey their pick to the Rockets, have won the tiebreaker. The Portland Trailblazers will slot in 10th, the Phoenix Suns 9th.
Yeah, dang.
So
Right in the butt.
the Portland Trailblazers will head into the lottery with a 3.7% chance of winning the NBA lottery. The Phoenix Suns, which again the pick will convey to the Houston Rockets, a 3.8% chance of winning the lottery.
Hey, look, this is the basketball gods not smiling down on the Blazers yet. I'm just like, the only hope that I have right now is that the basketball gods are going to smile down on the Blazers and say, you know what, you guys, at least you guys tried. At least you guys tried. You guys didn't go full tank. You guys tried. You guys tried to play good basketball and develop your talent. We'll give you a Cooper flag. It's seeming more and more unlikely that that is going to happen, my friend.
It just makes the comeback story that much better.
Yeah.
It's Kim Kardashian's story.
Yeah, I feel more and more like the pit of misery is coming.
Yeah. Just go ahead and get used to that.
It's so awesome.
Just bask in it.
So great. Just like,
so good.
yeah. So much to look forward to.
Well, I want to get some of the news and notes
Win the lottery.
here out of the way. The Milwaukee Bucks got unceremoniously thumped by the Pacers in Game 1. Chris Haynes is now reporting that Damian Lillard has been upgraded to questionable for the Milwaukee Bucks for Game 2.
Yeah, I was reading in the break a little story ESPN had about this, and we know a lot about Dame and how he's kind of been working through this, right? March 18th is the first action that he missed. He's been out with that blood clot. Apparently, he went on blood thinners like 2 weeks before that even, which is an interesting, like, we're not Not quite sure what blood thinners he was on before that and why they would put him on before he had a blood clot diagnosis. But apparently that was the thing. And look, it is a big reason why he is back in the time frame that he is.
And I've talked to other folks around and who've talked to other doctors, and I've seen some of the texts back and forth about this stuff. And Dame was apparently at the Mayo Clinic, where you would expect that he's getting first-class treatment, especially with the Bucks backing. That there may have been some other stuff that they did to improve this process. Look, I love Dame. Like, more than just as a basketball player, as a dude, I'm scared. Like, it's just because blood clots are like, it's for me personally, it's just such an unfamiliar. Have you had a blood clot?
No.
I just don't know. You know what I mean? Like a torn ACL or broken bone or whatever. We know what those things are. We know what the treatments are. We know what it's like. We know what the recovery and everything that kind of comes with it. This is so gray. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's one of those things where I'm like, look, man, this guy's a gamer among gamers. It's all he wants to do. Like, but it's like, be careful, dude.
Look, this is something, though, with what we saw on Saturday.
They have no chance without him. Zero.
Well, I'm just going to Dame trash talking Tyrese Halliburton, standing up on the bench, getting into it with him. Not the first time. Remember, Hallie did the Dame time before last year. And you know that Dame is going to want to play in this series, and he knows just as well as we do, they don't stand a chance without him. They play tomorrow. That would be game 2, would be tomorrow in Indiana. And then it would be game 3 is Friday back in Milwaukee.
Which is why I thought they would go game 3, because it would give him an additional week.
In this series, sure, you would want to steal home court in game 2. You could still steal home court in game 5 when you go back to Indiana with a more established, ready Dame. But it sounds like they've been ramping him up slowly and steadily throughout this process. Look, if he can go, we know one thing about Damian Lillard. That dude is gonna play if he feels that he can be of service and be anywhere close to the player that he knows he can't be. Look, he played with that ab injury and the calf injury here in Portland for years. Dude he was playing at less than 100% for some of the greatest moments that Damian Lillard had in his career as a Trailblazer. So it's not a question of if he's going to want to go out and do it. If the doctors give him the green light, that dude's going to play. He's going to play.
And Lord knows that when Dame gets poked by somebody else, remember the Pat Bev in the bubble?
Oh, yeah.
What happened there?
Yep.
Russ. Going at Damian Lillard is not good career choices.
Well, and then it was like a good 2 years after Paul George called the wave-off shot a bad shot. He had like an extra gear for any Paul George game, too. It didn't matter that he was in L.A. at the time. He was like, no, screw this guy.
Yeah. No, and on top of that, Paul's walked that back. He's been like, yeah.
Well, yeah. 2 years later, he had to walk it back.
He's like, I was kind of just in my feelings.
I can see why.
Yeah, when a guy hits a 37-footer to break your soul on national TV, I can understand that, but maybe don't. Just don't.
Well, yeah. Well, you also played with a guy who rocked the baby all the time and ran his mouth to Dame and really got the best out of him. So thanks, Russ.
So good times. All right, we're gonna pivot, or not pivot, but stay in the NBA playoffs. The games that at least kind of mattered. We'll dive into that next, and where we could see some changes here for Game 2s tonight here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Check out the Fan Merch Locker.
Clippers and Nuggets, which was easily the best game of the opening weekend for the NBA and the playoffs. There's actually a couple other games, a couple series, I think, that are going to matter very quickly. And game 2 of that gets underway tonight, which is kind of convenient because I think the 2 best series you're going to get in this opening round are Clippers Nuggets in the West, and in the East, Pistons Knicks. We haven't had a chance to talk Pistons Knicks yet. Those Pistons, those young Pistons, they came out and they played incredibly well, and then they peed down their leg in the final 7 minutes.
They look like a team who has not won a playoff game since 2008.
Yeah.
Like that organization and these young Bucks who have had an incredible turnaround from where they were last year to where they are now. It's the night and day. It's the greatest improvement from a win-loss perspective in NBA history from one year to the next. But playoff experience matters, and you saw that. A 21-0 run that was fueled by 2 guys that Brunson, you expect. That 17-point stretch where it was Cam Payne and Jalen Brunson, did not see Cam Payne being a part of that.
No.
But those guys score 17 straight points for the Knicks as part of their 21-0 run that just was like, all right, young Bucks, this is what playoff basketball is about. You've got to make big shots to thwart the momentum at any given time. And Detroit couldn't do it. They were put in a blender.
And here's the thing. There's a couple different lines you can take from this game, and I think from this series, but there's one that stands out in game 1. 19 turnovers to 9.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out which team had the 19 and which one had the 9. The young guys struggled, not egregiously, but in the moments that mattered. Cade Cunningham had a very slow start to the game, and then he started to figure it out, and he looked like Cade bleeping Cunningham. And you're like, oh, there he is.
Like the dude that people were considering for an MVP.
Well, he's probably going to win Most Improved. By the way, the NBA announced the finalists for the awards, and Draymond Green got named to the Defensive Player of the Year finalist.
Why are you surprised by this?
I'm not surprised. I'm just frustrated. It's Defensive Player of the Year, not Defensive Player of the last quarter of the season.
Well, I mean,
he was awful to start the season. The first 4 months of the season, he was not good.
But you know what he did that a lot of the guys that were really good weren't able to do at the beginning of the year? He finished the season,
Yeah.
and he played 65 games, and he ramped it up when they needed it.
If he ends up winning this, so help me God, they just have to redo the entire voting structure because not enough people are paying attention. It's just not.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, Wemby's going to win the award for the next 10 years anyways, but still.
if he stays healthy.
Yeah, if he stays healthy.
But back to your turnovers with Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Cade had 6 of them.
It was pronounced, though, in that fourth quarter where they booted the ball 6 times in the fourth quarter. And closing time is learned, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, especially in playoff basketball. And you can figure it out in the regular season and just be like, hey, it's a long game, but when you play playoff basketball, we talk about all the time, like, hey, these 20-point leads, they mean nothing in the NBA. In the playoffs, they do, right? And like you've got to tighten things up at the end of a game, or until you learn it, you're going to lose games like that. I was, though, as bad as it was at times, I was impressed with Detroit.
Yeah,
coming out and playing the way that they did, especially after a slow start from Cunningham, like you talked about. You got to figure some stuff out, and they need to really figure out Karl Anthony Towns because Playoff Cat actually played really well because for whatever reason, Tobias Harris was guarding him.
And this is where I want to give Tom Thibodeau a lot of credit. Tibbs went with a double big lineup, and it threw the Pistons for a loop because if they throw Cat at the 5 and then play OG at the 4, putting Tobias on OG is entirely fine.
You're okay with it.
But when they go double big and either Beef Stew or Jalen Duren has to put a body on Mitchell Robinson because he's such a monster on the offensive glass. Now all of a sudden, look, if you've never been in the arena when Cat comes to town, Cat is freaking huge. He does this kind of like hunch thing where he rolls his shoulders forward and down. When he stands up, he's enormous, big barrel-chested, strong dude.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris is a big guy. He's strong as hell too, but he's giving Cat 5 inches.
Yeah.
And probably 40 pounds.
I think if you're Detroit, though, it's game 1. You were on the road. You go to MSG.
Mm-hmm. You acquit yourself well.
It took Karl Anthony Towns doing something that he regularly does not do in the
No.
playoffs, is perform at the level he did. He was 10 of 14 from the field, for God's sakes.
And a lot of that was on blow-by drives.
Now, and then you also had Cameron Payne come in, and albeit in sparing minutes, was lights out and wildly efficient.
Plus 23 in 15 minutes.
Yeah, 5 of 7 from the field, and part of that spark that
Yeah.
led that 21-0 run. You can weather that storm, and you're gonna be okay. And that's the thing about playoff basketball is like we talked about this earlier. The criticisms of JJ Redick, dude, it's game one.
Yeah.
Criticizing JJ Redick for not adjusting is not going to be the issue and why the Lakers lose a 7-game series. Sometimes you look at it and you go, boy, we don't have it tonight. And that's exactly what JJ Redick said after the game is like, mentally, we were good. Physically, we came out, we just didn't look ready to play. And if you see one of those games, especially in a game one, you don't overreact and unload everything that you have for counters in a playoff series.
Especially with a young team.
You say, damn, this sucks. We live to play another day. Detroit kind of went through that, right? They went through that. All right.
The every possession matters of it all.
What are we going to do when they go double bigs again? Because that's going to be something that we will see again. Because if we don't change how we react to it, this game's going to be over. Or
Look,
this series is going to be over.
This is a game that went 123-112, and you said the big run was such a massive deal because the Knicks outscored the Pistons 40-21 in the fourth quarter when the Pistons came into the fourth quarter with an 8-point lead. That's tough.
6 turnovers and 2 guys unconscious.
And here's the thing. The Knicks shot 53, 39, 88, and only had 9 turnovers. You basically just saw the best the Knicks can do.
Yeah.
The Knicks are a good team. They are. But if they perform better than that in a game in this series again, I'll be shocked. 53, 39, 88, all on volume? That's nuts. Like, that's an incredible performance. Not only that, Tibbs threw the double bigs at you. He also played 9, which I was a bit surprised. They went 9 deep. And because they went to campaign, I was like, huh. Tibbs is, you know who he didn't play a crazy amount of minutes? Mikal Bridges. Bridges only played 29 minutes.
Yeah.
Because Bridges didn't have it.
He didn't have it, but they had other guys that did, whether it was campaign.
But that's Tibbs making a change. And he normally will ride with those guys because they give you of what those guys gave you over 82.
Oh, I think he may be evolving. And look, there is something to Brunson going down with that ankle injury.
Yeah, he's still not right. You can see it.
But Brunson being out, it forced Tibbs to play more guys and have to trust them because Brunson just wasn't available for him. That may, in a weird way, end up helping this Knicks team because even though Brunson isn't right, Ja isn't right either.
Oh, God, no. Ja can't move.
But those guys are going to play. But even Ja on one wheel was still high flying and just like he had a couple plays where you're like, damn.
He also had a couple times where he just got dusted.
Yeah, and that's going to be the thing though, is that how far can you go? Brunson's ankle isn't going to get any better, and he played 40 damn minutes of that game.
So if you look at the Pistons box score, right? Tobias Harris, look, he's had his issues in the playoffs. You got 25 and 6 on 8 of 13 from Tobias Harris. That's about as good as you're going to get, but he's playoff tested. Tim Hardaway Jr., 7 of 13. He was productive. I mean, you just kind of go down the list.
We talk about this being a baby Pistons team, and we just named 2 old-ass players.
Yeah, here's 2 more. Dennis Schroeder and Malik Beasley. You got 28 points from those 2 guys off the bench.
Yeah.
Like, Schroeder's been on very good teams.
Yeah. He's been a lot of playoff series.
Look, people don't like Schroeder because he's kind of, German, to be blunt.
Okay.
Because he just doesn't, so there's some cultural stuff that he doesn't manage interpersonal relationships all that well. But he's a gamer. Really, you're just looking at guys like Jalen Duren, Cade Cunningham. They put Ron Holland out there for 6 minutes, and it was not good. It was very Jarrett Allen for him. The lights were a little bit too bright, but that's the whole point. He's a rookie. He's a young guy. These are their first, if you're the Pistons, I mentioned this on Friday, talking to a buddy of mine who's a huge Pistons fan. He did not care if they won this series. He just goes, if they win one game, the city of Detroit will rejoice. They have not won a playoff game since 2008.
That's right.
That is this is how you get your playoff scars. But I still, even after this game, I'm picking the Pistons to win this series because you got a pretty meh performance from this young Pistons team, and you basically took everything the Knicks had for that to happen.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. This series is going to be really fun. And I don't know what's going to lie ahead because of the fact that you do have so many question marks on both sides, right? Because the inexperience of playing together in big moments from your stars and your young stars of Detroit to in New York, we know Tibbs runs his guys into the ground. How long are they going to be able to last? Last year, you remember the end of that playoff series where they
had nothing left.
Everybody was just hurt
against the Pacers,
and it was sad.
Trying to gum you to death.
It was sad to watch them at times. Where you're just like, golly, but they're going to fight. They're going to fight.
I'm
gonna be a fun series.
I'm really interested to see now that Cade kind of took that haymaker in that first half, what he looks like starting this game tonight.
Yeah.
Because if they could take one at MSG and steal home court away, this is the thing. It's the old adage. Series doesn't start until the away team wins.
Yep.
If either the Clippers or the Pistons can steal one tonight and get spicy, I'm really starting to wonder where those two series go, because those are both those series I picked the Clippers and the Pistons in.
Sign me up, man. Sign me up for both of them.
Well, coming up next, we're still talking NBA playoffs, but I want to take a look at the totality of the game ones. Is there anything that's standing out, that's scaring you, that's making you go, oh yeah, that's really it? We'll get to that next year. But first, here's Big Will Betts with the Sports Center update.
This is Draft Week with Danny and Dusty.
Brought to you by A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air.
Now, from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Sports Center is brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Mixed plates like Grandma used to make. If your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton, or online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on the Fan, the NBA playoffs continue today. Got a couple of game twos, one in each conference. Starting in the East, Knicks are hosting the Pistons. They're up 1-0 on that series. Right now, the Knicks are favored by 6.5 over Detroit. Total is set at 220.5. Tip-off at 4:30. Then at 7, you got the Nuggets hosting the Clippers. Right now, Denver's up 1-0 in that series. Nuggets are not favored in this one. Clips are favored by 1.5. Total is set at 218.5 points. The NBA announced their finalists for their regular season awards. Former Oregon Duck Peyton Pritchard is a finalist for the Sixth Man of the Year trophy. Right now, he's taken on the Cavs' Ty Jerome and Pistons' Malik Beasley as the other two finalists for the Sixth Man of the Year. Duke star freshman Cooper Flagg announced today that he will be entering the NBA draft this summer. Flagg is expected to be the #1 overall pick. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Will Ortner from the George McCoy at Warren Allen Sports Desk. Hurt and missing work, insurance companies acting like jerks. Don't call your mom, call George McCoy at warrenallen.com.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app, the only
Done in the NBA playoff picture, what's the single biggest overreaction or storyline that either you're running with or you're shooting into the sun?
I think the Thunder Celtics finals is
well on its way.
Dude, those two teams look really damn good. But it's one game, and this is the thing. People are always going to overreact to one game. The Thunder winning by 51 against a Memphis team that had to go through the play-in. Ja Morant is hurt and playing in it. They fired their head coach. It was not a functional franchise, and they just absolutely dominated them from start to finish. That series is over, and I'm okay saying that. And that may be the overreaction. But if you're talking about the big one that everybody's talking about, like, that would probably be it, because both those teams look really damn good. And the Thunder didn't play their starters really at all. No. Jalen Williams played 26 minutes. He was the only starter to go over 25. And then the Celtics didn't play great and just destroyed the Magic, which may be a signal for Orlando going to have to make some big changes to their vision of how things work.
Yeah, Jalen Suggs is important. He's not that important.
No.
For the Orlando Magic.
No.
The top 3 seeds, the Cavs, Celtics, and Thunder, are doing exactly what they should and everyone expects them to do. We go through this seemingly every year of like, oh, this team's trash. Oh, this team's truly great. The first round is the first round for a reason. The top seeds should beat the brakes off everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The Houston Rockets are the lone exception here because they're so young. Now, the Thunder are also incredibly young, but they have an MVP offensive engine and a metric crap ton of offensive depth. They're such an outlier in everything. I look at this, and for me, the biggest overreactions or the biggest storylines are coming out of the competitive series. The Knicks and the Pistons and the Clippers and the Nuggets. The Nuggets winning that game, I think, sends up a bit of a false flag of, hey, they got to win. Like, they're actually okay because they have the greatest player in the world. And I'm like, I'm looking at everything and I'm going, the Clippers basically did everything possible wrong.
Yeah.
And they lost in overtime by 2.
Yeah, it's interesting because 20 turnovers from the Clippers, like we talked about earlier, just bleh. But
from a team littered with playoff competency.
It's easy to put Michael Porter Jr. in the crosshairs and say, look, he's going to be a problem. Maybe they need to move on from him. He also will not play that bad again in this series because he's shown he doesn't do that. He hasn't in playoff series. Does he have some clunkers?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of them, actually. But then he usually always follows him up with some ungodly performance. You're like, where was this guy? You know?
The Michael Porter Jr. saga.
For everybody that's like, the Clippers won't be doing that again, history will kind of tell us, will Michael Porter Jr.? And it's usually not in the very next game.
No, and to that vein, I do wonder, though, if this is the push come to shove moment.
Yeah.
Because the noise around Denver with MPJ and Murray is just so loud.
Well, and look, never before has the head coach or Jokic called him out after a game the way that they did.
Both of them.
And his biggest advocate was Calvin Booth, who is no longer employed.
Mm-hmm.
So there may be something there where it's like maybe he is all up in his feelings and he doesn't pull out of this like he has in the past.
It's going to be really interesting because the narratives will probably take hold tonight because I shouldn't say I expect, but I believe both the Pistons and Clippers will win, and you're going to see storylines just thrown upside down.
Yep.
And that's the whole point of the NBA playoffs, especially when you're talking about when the seeds are a little bit closer. It's supposed to be tougher. It's supposed to not be a sweep or a gentleman's sweep. You're supposed to get 6 and 7 game series when you're talking about the teams that are a little closer matched, that are a little bit closer in seeding, that the styles make fights, all those kind of things. But, one of the games we haven't really talked about much is the Lakers and Timberwolves. Luka was incredible. Luka was incredible for the Lakers, and nobody else showed up. And you had Naz Reid and Jaden McDaniels go for a combined 19 of 25. You're not getting that from those two guys game in, game out.
No, but Luka, that we haven't talked about that half court shot he hit.
That he just let go like it was nothing.
He pulled up and just shot the ball from half court, and it was effortless.
Yeah.
And it just was like, oh, yep, he can bank that in, and all right, we're done. He was outstanding. The thing that's going to be worthy of watching is bigs are going to be a problem with the Lakers. We knew that heading into this series, and nothing about game one changed that. They've got to be able to slow down because it wasn't like you mentioned Naz Reid was outstanding and McDaniels outstanding.
11 of 13.
But it's not like they were like making tough and contested shots. They were like, it was easy. They were getting good, easy looks.
The tracking data had the Minnesota Timberwolves. They took 41, 43. There's a couple garbage time threes because they blew the lead so wide out that the Lakers team that played against the Trailblazers in the final game of the season made an appearance in the final 5 minutes of the game. For those that were unaware, it was like the third tier of the roster.
Bronny's getting that playoff check, dude.
Yeah, Bronny was literally getting playoff minutes because the game was so far out. But in the first, I believe it was the first 43s that the Timberwolves took, 27 of them were wide open. Like nobody within arm's reach, not even like gently contested, butt naked, wholly just Russell Westbrook threes.
Of the first 40 threes? Yeah, they took 42 in the game.
Yeah, so they were 21 of 42. They shot 50%. So I think that ain't
gonna happen again.
No. They might get open ones, but even then, you're not going to shoot 50% from three on volume.
And that's where I go. Let's pump the brakes on JJ Redick's adjustments. Let's see when these two teams meet up again.
And you hate to see it. The Cleveland Cavaliers beat the Heat 121-100.
Dang, man.
And by God, did the Cavs guards hunt Tyler Herro mercilessly. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, and who I think should be the guy who wins Sixth Man of the Year, Ty Jerome. He was third all time for a Cavs debut playoff performance with 28 points.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable.
He played great. It kind of sounds like Peyton Pritchard's going to win that award, though. Sixth Man of the Year.
It's going to come down to those two. It's going to come down to Ty and Pritchard.
I would love to see what opponent shooting percentage was when Tyler Herro was the primary defender.
I'll pull it up during the break.
Yeah,
I bet you it's very high.
That was noticeable. And it kind of does, like, there's been a lot of the smoke around Eric Spoelstra maybe not being too thrilled in Miami. He looks like it now. Like, look, this is a guy that he never looks like he's having the most enjoyable time while he's coaching, but it sure looked like he was really kind of at his wit's end at times during that game. More so than normal for Spoelstra. That will be an interesting to watch because if that dude becomes available this coaching cycle, where would he want to go? And what would be the because think of it. He could have best player in the world, Nikola Jokic. Probably be attractive. Phoenix. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's a mess, but he's got Book, and maybe that is reason enough to KD to maybe think about coming back.
No, that one's
maybe.
I'm pretty sure that one's cooked.
Memphis with wild ass Ja, don't think he would want that one, but boy, him in Denver would be scary.
I was able to pull this up. This is total playoffs, so it'll have the play-in game. So I'll need to put another filter on it. But through the two play-in games and that game, teams have taken 50 shots with Tyler Herro as a primary defender. They have an effective field goal percentage of 52%.
Yeah, that's not good, dude.
That's not great. I bet you if I just sort for just the Cavs game, it's gonna be much higher.
Yeah. Okay.
So, all right, as we wrap up today's show, the little note coming from the top 150 players for Daniel Jeremiah. The Ducks have done really well in the draft. They might have a chance to break their own record. Danny and Dusty, 10 the Fan. It is indeed draft week, and one of the big mock drafters out there, Daniel Jeremiah, has released his top 150 player list, and in that top 150 players, there are 7 Oregon Ducks. The Ducks set a record last year with 8 Ducks drafted. If you got 7 in the top 150, there's how many picks in the draft?
I don't know how many it is
55,
this
isn't
year.
it?
I think it's 257. Compensatory picks
Yes,
always kind of
bump
change
it
it, but
around.
it's like you're in the 250s. It's a lot.
Mhm.
It's a lot of guys, and one of the top 150 prospects having 7 is a sign of a healthy program. I went down and I did a show with like some of the New York Giants have a draft kind of ramp up thing, and I went on with those guys. And one thing that we were talking about was the fact that this is not like the most top heavy with Oregon. Oregon has had top 10 picks, but sometimes it's like there's only one guy drafted, but he's in the top 10. It's like, damn, right? This year, Oregon doesn't have that guy who's a top 10 guy. But if you look at from middle to end of the first round to like the 5th and 6th round,
A lot of dudes.
they've got a lot of guys that are draftable. And
Harmon obviously tops that list, and then Josh Connerly. Those are your top 2.
potentially could be 2 in the top in the first round, as the way that some of the mocks are starting to show. We could see a big run on offensive linemen, and we may want to talk about that as just kind of being the way that the draft is, and we can do that tomorrow. But Connerly, in some places, has been moving into that first round, and the idea is that if you have a draft where it's not top-end heavy like this one, but it's really solid on the offensive line, you could see a ton of offensive linemen going off the board in the first round, and that would benefit Josh Connerly. But then you have Jordan Birch, Terrence Ferguson, Jeffrey Bossa, Jamari Caldwell, who are all guys that are projected to be kind of those, day 2, day 3 type guys. Then Dylan Gabriel is in Daniel Jeremiah's top 150. He will be late 5th, 6th, 7th round guy, but that gives you 7. Which means 2 of the following guys need to get drafted. Tez Johnson, Ajani Cornelius, Trayshawn Holden, Jabbar Muhammad, Jordan James. There's 5 guys there. If the 7 that are on that list all get drafted and from the top 150 list by Daniel Jeremiah, 2 more, and Oregon sets that record at 9 drafted players. Out of those 5, probably going to get 2 of those guys. Tez,
Pretty decent chance.
Ajani, Jabbar Muhammad too, Trayshawn Holden. I mean, those guys really are going to be late round type guys to get drafted. So it'll be interesting to see, man. I'm excited for the draft this Thursday.
And we'll dive back into it more tomorrow.
Let's do it, man. We will be back tomorrow from noon to 3. Up next, you got 4 hours of power from their mouths to your ears. This